A very good evening to all our viewers today. Today we have with us a very distinguished professional who holds a degree in polymer engineering and a PhD on waste management. He is also the fellow of Indian Plastic Institute, senior member Society of Plastic Engineers USA. He holds an expertise in the circular economy, recycling, EPR, and plastics, and has his own plastic injection modeling unit in Pune. He also holds a world record in the Guinness Book for the world's largest t-shirt from plastic waste in 2018. Let us all welcome Dr. Samir Joshi. Dr. Joshi,
Namaskar, Harsha, and
welcome.
thank you so much for having me today. It's a pleasure and honor to be with you and on this show. Before we begin, may I request you to put share these small presentations so that it'll help to take this dialogue forward?
Sure, all yours.
Thanks. Today we are going to talk about plastics and sustainability as we are at crossroads and how do we go forward. Next, please. Tipping point, that has been the cover story of the first issue of the new decade in 2020 of the magazine called as the Geographical, which is an old one of the oldest magazines in the UK. And it says that the waste crisis will continue to haunt us for this decade. And we have seen how this decade began in 2020, and with one of the theories being that the virus, which we all are facing today, em- uh, uh, was started somewhere in a market where there was waste. So I think the waste management is a very important part of our lives today, and one needs to take care as how we handle our waste. Next, please.
Hmm.
I'm going to tell you a short story. This is a story of a plastic bag. The plastic bag which we are all so familiar with. This story began in 1965 when the plastic bag in its one piece form came into the market by company named Celloplast who commercialized it. Sten Gustav Tulin was the designer who designed this in 1959 and it got commercialized in 1965. Quickly, this bag began to replace the cloth bags in Europe. Next, please. During an interview to the BBC, the son of the original designer told that to my dad, the idea that people would simply throw these bags away was bizarre. He would carry one bag around with him everywhere he went and reuse it. Now, friends, it's worth pondering and going back again to the history. The inventor of the plastic bag saying and doing what he said, walking the talk, as he said. He invented the plastic bag, but he carried it along with him many times and reused it and not littered it nor throw it. And today, we are consuming plastic bags in a world that is like never before and littering it everywhere. And that has led to the ban on single use plastics and the ban of thin carry bags in many countries across the globe. What happened to be a material of convenience became a material of concern and an enemy to say the same plastic which was meant for convenience, the same plastic which has saved us in the pandemic, that became a curse. Here is a slide showing how the waste management and the waste begins. One person littering, sorry. Second one also adding his contribution to that garbage. And finally, the same person saying, "Oh, this city is so dirty." We in the plastic world say plastics do not litter, people do. And one must really think who are the litter bugs. And we should not be the ones who start the littering. Next, please. Next slide, please. The Indian plastic problem. 9.25 million tons of plastics generated per day, per year. And the problem is massive, massive. Here are the 7 plastic categories which is important for us to know. Number one category is PET, mostly what we use as the mineral water bottles. Second one commonly used is HDP, the bottles for toiletries. The uh, unrecyclable or the non-recyclable one is PVC, which we see in the as the gloves or the PVC pipes. Sometimes this is recyclable, and that is LDP, low density polyethylene, which forms a major portion of the plastic bags. Commonly used material is plastic that is polypropylene and which has many household articles out of it. The no one is the articles or the spoons and single use items made from polystyrene. Thermocol is the commercial name which we know. And category 7 is other, which is about mentioned is almost never recyclable. These are packets like the wafer packets or the packets which have a metal plastic layer and which is not easy to recycle. So, PET bottles, coming back to number one, we see these labels on the products, which is most commonly recyclable, high density polyethylene, commonly recyclable, PVC not recyclable, bags recyclable many of the times, commonly used polypropylene, the polystyrene not, and others almost never. Next slide, please.
Yes, sir.
We have, in the last 2 years, gone into a phase where life was going on smoothly. And then came this new world, the new normal. And plastics formed an important part of the new normal. Look at the graph. On the y axis is the consumer driven factors, on the x axis is the regulation of the government. And in this times of the new normal, health and hygiene, sustainability, and technology have formed an important factor in our lives. Health and hygiene in terms of the packaged foods that we have ordered online, cleanliness at the manufacturing stage, use of smart packaging or customized packaging with printing when everything became online and the supply chains were strengthened to meet the demands of the online order of almost everything what we can think of. We were locked down in those times, but our waste was not. Medical waste was generated, other waste was generated, and there were problems of waste disposal, and pollution became less in terms of when the humans were locked inside. But the pollution in terms of the littered mask or the littered plastic after use became a menace. And in these times, we learned to see how ecology was important. The next slide shows in the green section how important the plastics played their role in terms of customer viewpoint of hygiene and food safety. These two issues, look at it in India, how hygiene became more important. 94% of the people were concerned about the hygiene and the food applicated plastics and food safety. This is the point worth noting, and also a point to note that when we want to have health and hygiene, we want to have packaging, we need to take care of our littering habits. Next, please. It comes to the can you the most important options of how we need to control our waste, to reduce our consumption, to reduce our waste, to reuse whatever is possible, using materials repeatedly, recycling those plastics which are and meant for recycling, or some plastics which are not recoverable, recyclable, they have to be sent for energy conservation. And the least preferred option, landfill, but safe disposal to landfill. That is the way how the waste management hierarchy is treated throughout the world. Next, please. This is a snapshot of how plastic waste management is done. Either it has to be disposed or to be recycled. Recycling can be done by mechanical, biological, or thermochemical conversion. The mechanical conversion is using that recycled plastics again converted to plastic applications for non-food contact or other applications. Then the biological plastics is using biological resources of you know or natural polymers. And last is the one which is least recovery, that is used in the roads or for making fuel. Look at the wonder of plastic here. a robot made from 100% waste material, a humanoid inspired by the digital mission of India. And IIT Mumbai Kendriya Vidyalaya Professor Dinesh developed this robot called Shalu, made from waste. Shalu is not a simple humanoid. She can talk in 38 foreign languages and 9 GK topics, solving maths, and that's what, and many more things. This is a wonderful creation of man using waste to form a robo. This is what is called upscaling of the waste. Next, please. Next slide, please. In our existence, we have ecology and ego on this earth. All species are interdependent. So, taking care of our shared resources is essential so that human prosperity can coexist with the goals of conservation that we are committed to more in the present times. Next, please. Depicted here is our planet and how we have to take care of it. This slide, I have to not talk about this. It simply explains how plastics, which are always after their use abused, thrown away, but the same plastics turned savior against the fight in the pandemic. More important to note is I'm not here to promote plastics, but that plastics when used after the protection, that has to be discarded properly or it has created many more new problems. Littering of the mask in the oceans, and the virus which has been protected, the same can be spread if we do not use that plastic or discard it. Incineration is the only way for that. We have the classic example of Indore, which is a clean city for a number of years, and where plastic waste management is a role model, even showcased at the World Bank headquarters. And 72 nations have adopted the Indore's waste to energy model. We keep of talking about copying what has been done in the Western world. But here we are in our own country where we see the best examples of waste management, and those are being appreciated. That is important. So it begins with you and me. That is important. Next, please. This is a slide of a social enterprise by the name of Planet First. They have been doing collection in the Himalayas, putting planet first, people later, and profits and plastics to follow. That is the new passion. Next, please. The possibilities from advanced recycling. The government of India and the Food Safety Regulatory Authority of India have given permission to use highly sophisticated method of advanced recycled plastic material for food contact applications. So when plastics recycled chemically can be used for food contact applications, which is already being done in the Western world. In the Western world, we see plastic used for 100% used in mineral water bottles and even for food contact applications like butter and cheese. And this will begin in India in the coming 3 years, where we can see recycled plastics playing an important role in our lives. What is important to note that we have to apply technology to our sustainability and life becomes more better. Next, please. Next slide, please.
Are you able
This
to
is
see the next slide, facing out single-use
yes,
plastic?
yes. Phasing out single-use plastics. The government of India has committed to phase out single-use plastics, and we are seeing this in the 2022. In the first stage, the non-woven plastic bags shall be increased in thickness to go up to 240 microns from September 30th. In the second phase, some of the most commonly used single-use plastics like earbuds with plastic sticks for balloons, flags, candy sticks, ice cream sticks, and thermocol decoration will be banned. And from the July of this year, the list of banned items will grow from single-use plastic plates, cups, glasses, and packaging. And a carry bag in the new year of 2022 will be made of virgin or recycled plastic, but will not be less than 120 microns. These are the rules which will come and is being mandated by the government to take care of the menace of plastic which is littered. We hear this word sustainability very often. So I thought, let me define this. Environmental sustainability is the responsibility to conserve natural resources and protect the global ecosystems to support health and well-being. The U.S. Environmental for the future. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency defines this at meeting today's needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs. So, what we save today will be helpful for our future generations. Next, please. Next slide, please. This is a classic example of nature in sustainability. See the ants on a leaf where a drop of water is there, and 12 ants are drinking from it. They have divided themselves into four groups where they are balancing the water on one hand, along not allowing the water to flow, and at the same time conserving it. These are the lessons of sustainability for us: frugality and balancing what we have with Mother Nature. Thank you.
Thank you
That was my
for
presentation.
thank you for such a detailed presentation to us and enlightening us with all the initiatives and about the basics of plastics. Now, you are a seasoned professional and also an entrepreneur in the field of plastic for 3 decades. What is the attitude shift that you've observed lately?
See, plastics came into being just 50, 60 years ago. And in India, the real use of plastic started in the decade of 80 to 90. And as I had mentioned in my presentation, plastics became a thing of necessity. And then the same necessity became a throwaway thing after its use. So, since the last 6 to 7 years, when the Swachh Bharat mission took active, what I can say, when the Swachh Bharat mission became more and more visible, and littering habits started to be seen, that's where plastic started to get banned. Most important is the consumers have to know what to use and what not to use plastics. And when the littering did not stop, the single use plastics then were banned, so that they do not pollute our environment. The consumer of nowadays is now becoming more and more aware, and using items which are recyclable, or packaging which is recyclable. So the attitude shift is getting momentum, and the millennials, the young age group, 20 plus, they are concerned about the environment, and doing their
Sir,
part. Yes, please.
Sir, in your view, how much percentage of, like, many places we see that this is recyclable plastic, recyclable product, how much according to you actually gets recycled?
The Indian government's of the Central Pollution Control Board gives a figure of 60% of the plastics which is generated as recyclable. That is perhaps the highest in the world. There is a uh, reason behind that. Our waste management thrives most from the informal sector. We see rack pickers who are the waste warriors, who pick up every bit of cardboard or plastics. So they pick up the plastic or the other dry waste materials, and they give it to the local kabadi wala to recycle. So in India, the recycling rate is high. And as far as the mineral water bottle goes, the figures say that up to 85 to 90% of the plastic bottles produced for water get recycled. So the recycling rate in India is quite high.
Considering the recycling rate is very high, the retail products which are using indefinite amount of plastic with no plans for recycling the end products, how do you think we can curb on this and ensure that the end product is recycled? So right now, the recycling from the government waste, that would be done. But when it comes to the retail product, even a Bisleri bottle or even my shampoo bottle is made up of plastic, or shower gel, or the toothbrush. So you see, from past 6 months, I would like to quote this. From past 6 months, I haven't thrown any of these away. I have two
Wow.
bags of all these consumer products that I have been using, which are of plastic, and I have collected all of them. So, what about those?
That's a wonderful thing what you have done, and I'm so happy for you, Harsha. You are doing the right thing. And the government has put in place a mechanism called as the EPR, the Extended Produce Responsibility. This is an important aspect where the consume the FMCG companies, the companies which produce these goods, they are mandated, these brands. So suppose we have the soft drink manufacturers, so they are and I would not like to take the name of the brand here. Suppose we have uh, a brand which puts 100 bottles of mineral water in the market in Delhi. In I'm just saying a figure of 100 for easy discussion. So it puts 100 bottles of 1 liter into the market in Delhi in a month. So it is mandated by law that that brand collect back its bottles. So, but that bottle may not be of the same brand. That is brand neutral. And this collection has started by waste management companies. These uh, FMCG companies have outsourced their collection to these waste management companies, and it is mandated. And we are going to see this um, rule get more traction, and things will fall in place in the new year. And as far as whatever you have collected will, you, if you tell somebody, they will come and pick it up and take it. There are, some startups who are having also developed an app. You just put your how much plastic you have there in certain regions of the NCR, or in Hyderabad we have such startups. And then they will come when a substantial amount is of plastic is there at your home. Those transport charges should be affordable for them, and they will in fact reward you with some coupon or something for your plastics. And they will tell you that with how much bottles you have not littered, how much environmental impact has been done by you. So such things are happening, and it is the future in
So
our country.
that's great to hear, sir, that these are the kind of companies. But what about the people who are not staying in the metro cities like Delhi, NCR, Bombay, and who are staying, because 70% of our country is in villages. So how do we address that?
Very good question. The Swachh Bharat Mission 1.0, as we know it, launched in 2014. The concentration was on toilet. The Swachh Bharat Mission 2.0, launched in 2021, says about waste management even in the rural parts of India. So, by law, but everything takes its own time. I'll tell you just one example. Every entity, be it an society, be it a village, which generates more than 100 kgs of waste in their surroundings, they are mandated to have a mechanism of this, giving or take putting the waste in their own premises, meaning the wet waste in terms of composting, and the dry waste, a mechanism to collect this. So this is going to the rural parts also, and we will see that collection happening. Perhaps it will take time, but it is happening. A village we have worked for a project, it has become zero waste village, where everything they have done, and in the village itself, and this has given opportunities for 2 3 people to earn their living. So there are such examples, and this will move in a right direction. As you rightly said, rural India has the most of India. The rural India is there, but things are happening there also.
So any email ID or contact number that people who have collected this kind of wastage, like even I, whom do I contact to get things collected?
To see the
I,
website of startup, and they have their phone numbers there. recycle.com. I'm repeating, recycle.com. Recycle. This is a startup which is has developed some apps, and one has to see if they're available in your city. But you can get in touch with them, and they will tell you how to manage your plastic waste or how they can take it.
that would be great, sir, because I actually live in a village in Arambol in Goa. So I
Wow.
hope that they would consider to come there.
Yes,
So
yes, yes.
although there are mechanisms that you all are putting in place for collection of this kind of plastic, are there any alternatives that you all are looking at? Are you all doing any research and development for alternates of plastic that could be used?
Very relevant question. Plastic is banned, alternatives are bound to be created. And we are talking of plastics from the natural resources like starch and potatoes. Then we have the compostable bags, the bio created from bioplastics, also some bags. So these are happening and coming in the market. No doubt their cost would be initially high, but as we know, everything takes time, and this also will take time. These alternate materials, though costly at the moment, will find their penetration more, and as it is used by a number of people, their cost will also go down. So alternative materials are being there to plastics, natural plastic materials.
Okay. Now, coming from the Plastic Institute, Dr. Joshi was studying the manufacturing of plastic. You also have one of those units. So, what are the
I
best
can't hear you.
practices in your own company? Hello, am I audible? Hello, hello, am I audible? Hello, yes, can you hear me? Hello, Dr. Joshi. Can you hear me now? You can. Okay. So my next question was for you. What are the best practices that you all are instilling in the manufacturing of plastic? You're coming from Plastic Institute. What are the best practices? So will you?
Can you hear me? I don't know. I'm not able to hear you.
You are audible.
Plastics can be used in roads. Plastics can be. I know there are questions in the chat box. Petrol is converted to fuel successfully. Any success out of your experience? Yes, the plastics are being converted into fuel and other applications. But the success rate, I mean, the process, there is 50% of yield of that product. So if we say convert 100 liters, 100 kgs of plastic, we just get 50 because it depends on the type of plastic used. So the success stories are there, but it depends on a number of factors. And those that fuel what is generated is used to uh, burn the lamps or run generators. So this is happening in our
In
country.
fact, Farah, in fact, there are success stories. That's why I put up a question.
Yes,
Being an institute of national repute, the premier one,
yes,
and I consider part of being government policy framework and all,
yes.
something must happen quickly. These are existing for more than a decade, but they all remain at very minuscule scale. So a lot of startups are coming. Countrywide, we have accumulation of plastics for over 2 decades and more than that. Why not some initiatives comes and incentives introduced so that young budding entrepreneurs they can also venture in and convert this lying wealth waste into wealth. More so during the period when international prices are soaring up uncontrolled.
Very well said that, and let me tell you that this is being looked upon, and this is going to see incentives and more use in the near future. Very relevant, and what out, sir? Thank you for this.
In fact, this utilization of plastics in roads also experimented a decade before, but it should be
Yes,
scaled up. It should not
it
remain
it,
experiment.
it is being scaled up, sir, and lakhs of kilometers have been done. In fact, one we have a senior person. His name is Rajgopalan Vasudevan. He's called as the Plastic Man of India, who gave an open patent for anyone who is interested in doing the plastic roads. And these are being done, and the government has intervened. In fact, I'm very happy to state there are border roads organization. They have started using plastics for making roads, and that takes care of two problems. This border roads are among the in the Himalayas, where
That's correct.
managing the plastic waste generated in the high altitudes, transporting them is very difficult. So use of those plastics in those roads will also help quite a lot. In fact, a study has shown that in 1 kilometer of plastic, around 600 to
Oh,
800, sorry, 1 kilometer of road, 600 to 800 kgs of plastics is being used, and
yeah.
this has been taken up at the highest level and implemented. Thank you for pointing this out.
In fact, sir, there are various initiatives, but scaling up is required.
Yes,
See, there are even some initiatives by group of people. They say that you come with 1 kg of plastic and have lunch free.
yes,
But such things, they should become visible. They should find content in media, and
yes.
something need to be done seriously.
Absolutely. And what you pointed is this: India is a big country, and we see a lot of startups in the field of waste management and plastic management. And such initiatives need to be highlighted and taken up for the benefit of all. And India is a country of wonders. And our startups, our kids, do wonderful work. And as I rightly pointed out, they have helped in the restoration of the plastic waste management in the new form, and we should encourage them and highlight them.
Sir, let me share with you. I think surely you may be aware. IIT Mumbai have taken an initiative to cover entire country, popularizing energy conservation through deploying
Absolutely.
energy conservation demonstration buses, which are
Yes.
visiting different institutions and cities all across country.
Yes.
Why not similar initiative follow, wherein plastic is the theme and how it is converted into wealth, what are the possibilities, probabilities, and success stories exhibited through simple audio visuals and all to the young minds in institutes.
Sir, it has already been done by the startups, and I can share the name of the startups, and they'll be happy to do such online presentations and educate our kids. They are reaching out to the children, they are reaching out to the community and doing excellent work. And in this times of the online more focus, they are doing it online as well as physical. So it is happening, and this needs to be popularly encouraged at schools also.
Sir, what are the startup you just referred to?
RECYKAL
RECYKAL. Okay,
dot
this is
com.
the fine. Fine. I will look into surely.
Yes.
Just to share with you, sir,
Yeah.
United Nations is already celebrating this decade as a ecosystem restoration decade,
Very true.
and plastic occupy the central stage.
Yes.
Its contribution in deteriorating the ecosystem are one of the prominent one.
Yes.
In such a background, I feel young minds, they must be taken into
Yes.
participation mode, and they can make a catalyst role changing environment very quickly.
Yes, in fact, I have put in the comments back box one more startup name. His name is Feel Good Eco Nurture. A young startup. He's creating tiles, plastic tiles from plastic wrappers, and he's doing excellent work. And these tiles are being used for payments and for other applications. So our young generation, they are doing their part for a better waste management system.
Fine. Harsaji, if
Sir,
you
I have
remember,
a question.
Yes,
That the plastic which you could recycle and everything, you have all the necessary wherewithal to recycle it. but there are
Yes,
certain kind of wrappers like lace chips and so on and so
yes,
forth, which you can't do much about. So what
yes.
about them?
That is the story which I just mentioned about Feel Good Eco Nurture. This is a startup, and he is making the tiles from those wrappers. They wrappers like Lays and are collected. They are called multi-layered plastic. Multi-layered in the sense there is a layer of plastics and a layer of metal in those products of packaging wafers. So these packets are connected, they are ground, and again granules are made, and from the granules he has made products like tiles and benches. And worse quality plastics which cannot be totally recycled. Sir mentioned about roads, so those quality plastics are being put in the roads which cannot be recycled. So there are processes available. One need to ensure that plastics what we keep, as Harsha has done. She has collected it, cleaned it. So, that adds the value and makes life simpler for the recycler or for the end use application. So it is important that we keep the plastics clean. You remember in our olden days, in our 20 25 years ago, milk packets, our mothers would not throw them away but give it to the raddiwala shops as we gave our uh, papers. So that practices are good practices which need to be again followed by us. Nowadays everybody doesn't have time, so just use it and throw it. That mindset has to go. It begins with you and me, and if we are able to do such small things, it will help to collect that plastics which is not which is not which is clean, and that will help for recycling.
Thank you so much, sir. IICSR is a dedicated institute for responsible business leadership. What kind of initiatives or courses that you see us rolling out in order to develop responsible business leaders presently and for the coming future?
I appreciate the efforts of IICCR and IICSR, and I assure you that I will be happy to get these startups to talk on our platform and create leaders and people, and we can have some courses also for those interested in waste management, introductory courses and detailed courses if needed. This is open source, so for the well-being of the society, and I'll be happy to facilitate that.
Any other questions? Thank you so much, sir. Any final message for all our viewers or any other questions from any of our panelists? Am I
Just I
audible?
want to, yes, yes, you are. I just want to say plastics do not litter, people do. And when we talk of Swachh India, we have to be such in our thoughts and actions. And dil mein sach, हाथ से स्वच्छ, दिमाग में India. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Joshi, today. And it's a pleasure talking to you. And hope all our viewers must have gained a lot of knowledge from your, from all the details that you have mentioned today. Thank you.
Thank you. Namaste.